to study the comprehensive needs of children in the state to order. We have a monthly, right now, a standing agenda, which calls us to convene the meeting and then share the progress of two groups who are working, one on each one of the charges, and the end to perform and to complete one report that's unified for both of the charges. So Christopher, do you want to give us an update on the school start times work from last month?
Sure. So subsequent to our meeting at the end of February, at which we had district level administrators from Guilford, Norwalk, and Wilton join us. At our most recent meeting in March, we were blessed to be joined by Charisse Miller Odukwe from CAS, as well as her student advisory council, which was probably 8 kids from across the state, all much more articulate than I can ever hope to be. And they talked about their experiences in school and their thoughts regarding, their own needs for sleep and how their needs for sleep are impacted by their current start times. So we were really blessed to hear from them. And they had much more, I think, sophisticated senses of the nuance of this issue than a lot of grown-ups do. And they recognized that there wasn't a real easy solution to this because there were so many variables involved, and because they're cognizant of how different school districts have different resources available to them. So I think by and large, they talked about having any change would be good, but they recognized that we probably couldn't go for an ideal amount of change because of the implications that would have for younger students, for example. And for me, a longtime counselor and administrator, my heart was swelling to see how top of mind the needs of younger kids were for these adolescents. So as I did with our meeting with the district level folks, I took multiple pages of notes, all of which will be incorporated into our subgroup portion of the report.
Excellent. Anyone else from that group want to add anything?
I wanted to add something that I'd like to talk about, but not just to review, so I can wait.
But it's okay.
All right. I was thinking, I heard somewhere on the news that Florida, I believe, has something in the legislature this year to change the school times for high school and middle school. So I looked up to see if there were any other states.
All students for bus 11 to the bus doors, please.
Okay.
All students for bus 11 to the bus doors.
So I looked up online to see if there had been other states, and I don't remember, we might have talked about this already because I missed a meeting or two in the beginning, but I guess California was the first state to do that this year. Okay. And I don't know what the feedback has been from them. And it said the way that Florida was going to do it, I think they did it the way that California did it, which says you cannot begin before 8:30 or 8 o'clock for the middle schools. And I guess New Jersey, New York, and Massachusetts are thinking of doing the same thing as state. So I just wanted to, if you haven't, I don't know, you might have talked about that already and I missed it. But one of the things that they said is that it decreases the risk for car accidents for students, besides the decrease in tardiness, increase in mental health, increase in academics. So I don't know. I didn't look at it very thoroughly to see what California is saying now, since they've done it, I think, for this year.
Yeah, I had heard about that before too, some data about that with driving records, which are already difficult for younger drivers. So good information. That you'll talk about it some more.
Right, and I think it'll be interesting, hopefully this summer, after California has had a full school year of it, we'll have access to some pretty robust data from across the state, because California also has, well, one of the reasons California will be helpful to look at is that they have, not unlike us, but to a much larger extent, they have a lot of rural districts and some very urban districts, and then everywhere in the middle. So it will be helpful to see their data disaggregated by urbanicity.
Excellent.
I would just echo what Chris said about listening from the youth. It was really a great gift for them to come, and I also was moved by how considerate they were of the little ones. And there was one kid who was concerned about who would babysit them, you know, if we came home later, which I think, you know, has come up in our discussion around childcare and sports and studying. And one young woman talked about moving her after school homework help time before school as an option. And then one of the kids goes, yeah, but then we're just going earlier. You know, it's like, it's not helping us to go. Roseanne, I was smacked in the back by a young teenager going to high school one morning in my car. And I know the feeling of 8 o'clock in the morning, or this was 7:30 actually, you know, her tired.
Drivers. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's a hard problem to solve. And, you know, part of me also feels like until we change the time change the time, you know, the clock, you know, and stop doing that and maybe leave it at a certain time, that would help a little bit, because I think that, you know, by changing the time, which was done, I think, right, to accommodate kids to not be in the dark getting on school buses, that maybe we could tie the conversation to that.
I think you're speaking Dr. Glenn Lungarini's language. So we talked about that just the other day. So he and 2 others are going to be in our breakout room when we break up in a few minutes time.
Excellent. Excellent. Good discussion. So then our last meeting, we were graced by the presence of the Deputy Commissioner of the Office of Early Childhood, Elena Trueworthy, and she gave us some more information on that blue ribbon panel that was organized through the governor's office. And they have a charge to come up with a 5-year strategic plan for childcare. And their deadline is our deadline at the end of this calendar year to come up with their strategic plan. They have 4 areas of focus for their blue ribbon panel. Equity and access is one. Workforce and quality is the second. Financing is the third. And overall systems is the fourth. So they are just getting underway, but that was helpful to us, I think, to know truly how are these groups. I mean, we seem to have some of the same charge, but that's what they were asked to do, and we know what we were asked to do. So we will keep working, and maybe we can get in touch once again, maybe through Jennifer, even in a few months or early fall, and see any progress that they've made. And maybe she could let us know and we could continue to work together. So that was what we really wanted to accomplish at the last meeting. And now we understand better. Anybody else there from the infant and toddler group want to say or ask anything? Or anybody else? Also, please.
I'm glad that you guys are having the opportunity to compare notes, because I think that'll save everybody a lot of unnecessary redundancy as you go forward.
Between that and what the Office of Early Childhood is doing on their own that they have to do to expend all these funds, there's a lot of rich information out there that we really have access to, unlike last year when our charge was really totally ours to come up with. You also are finding that too. You have a lot of valuable resources from which you can pull. So I think that'll be helpful for all of us.
Nice, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Then I think we're ready to go into our breakout rooms. All right, Christian, thank you. And then have a great rest of the month, everyone, because we won't get together again until next month. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia.
Thank you.